You should have seen me at the last meeting with the
Okay.
conditions of the.
Madam Chair, we're on.
The August 16th, 2022 meeting of the Bernards Township Planning Board is now called to order. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Law of 1975, notice of this meeting of the Planning Board of the Township of Bernards was posted on the bulletin board in the reception hall of the municipal building, Collier Lane. Please note that Mr. Bauman has just entered. Collier Lane, Basking Ridge, New Jersey, was sent to the Bernardsville News, Whippany, New Jersey, to the Courier News, Bridgewater, New Jersey, on January 19th, 2022, and was electronically mailed to all those people who have requested individual notice. The following procedure has been adopted by the Bernards Township Planning Board. There will be no new cases heard after 10 p.m. and no new witnesses or testimony will be heard after 10:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Thank you. Mr. Demergy and Mr. Iorio have indicated that they will be unable to attend this evening. Chairwoman Padici.
Here.
Mr. Bauman.
Here.
Mr. Crane.
Here.
Deputy Mayor McNally.
Here.
Ms. Mandu.
Here.
Ms. Mastrangelo.
Here.
Mr. Seville.
Here.
Mr. Malik.
Here.
And Mr. Letazinski.
Here.
And Mr. Banish.
Here.
Mr. Drill.
Here.
For the record, Ms. Kiefer is present. Madam Chair, you have a quorum. You may proceed.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kiefer. First item is approval of the minutes of August 2nd, 2022. Mr. Letazinski, Deputy Mayor McNally, Ms. Manduke, and Mr. Seville are, thank you, Vice Chair, for, please, may I have a motion to excuse Mr. Demerjian and Mr. Iorio?
Yes, I'll move.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Crane. All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of minutes, August 2nd. Mr. Letazinski, Deputy Mayor McNally, Ms. Manduke, and Mr. Seville were absent. There was a revision on the minutes that were sent today per the request of Mr. Bauman. So I'd like to have a motion to approve the revised minutes as drafted.
What was the revision of?
It was just to record in the minutes that it was mentioned at the meeting that Kippy, myself, and Paul had seen the site previously at a landscape committee visit where we were present and observed the 25-foot tree easement for the Fenwick development.
And Ms. Mastrangelo, that particular sentence is highlighted in yellow on page 1.
Interesting.
Of the ones that I sent out today.
Aha.
Today.
Well, I
Sorry.
have version 2, but I don't see that, so that's fine. That's why I asked, thank you.
Okay, a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve minutes as amended.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Crane. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Abstain?
Abstain?
Everyone in favor? Oh,
How many abstentions? We should have,
I abstain, Chairwoman.
four abstentions?
Yep.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item is hearing on a modification of condition continued from June 21st, 2022. Bernards Plaza Associates LLC, Block 8501, lots 39 to 43, 403 King George Road, extension of time to obtain permanent certificate of occupancy, PB 18-005.
Madam Chair, I'm going to recuse myself from the next three items that involve
Okay,
Bernards
Mr. Crane, we
Plaza.
will call you when you start Mr. Plan.
Thank
Thank you. Let the record show that Mr. Crane has left the room and is recused. The attorney is not here, and the representative of Bernards Plaza is not here. if you,
But
but
That's
if,
not a problem.
that's not a problem. If you read the, letter from Ms. Kinback, they're asking for an extension on Building A until March 31st, 2023, but they've not asked for an extension on Building B. It turns out Building B is being built before Building A, just to keep everybody straight here.
Can I say one other thing, just to keep
Yes.
everyone really straight? Remember, these are extensions that you granted on June 21st. This was first a memorializing resolution. So they sent in a letter saying, hey, would you consider giving us a little bit more time in the revised memorializing resolution before you adopt it? Otherwise, we're gonna be back here again
Right.
for an
Right.
extension hearing.
Right, and, the applicant's representative has indicated that in terms of Building B, he's hoping to finish by November, but given the known supply chain shortages, he's hoping to do his best, so.
Okay, and before you say that, that's not based on a conversation Kippy had with him. That's
It's
based-
with, the conversation with the board secretary.
Right, so just to dot the i's and cross the t's, can I just get you sworn in, Cindy? You swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Can you relay to the board the meeting that you had in person with Mr. Korn?
Mr. Korn came by my office today to drop something off for Mr. Schley and commented that there would be no representation for the two resolutions this evening. And-
Because his attorney was on vacation.
His attorney is on vacation and he cannot represent the company himself. He then talked about the two extensions, and when he discussed Building B, because I actually asked him, is this going to be enough time for you? And when he discussed Building B, he said, we're scheduled to finish by November. He said, but I'm not really even sure we'll be able to make that, given all the unforeseen problems that we've had all along. And then he described how, in general, everything that he's doing is taking twice as long as it normally does.
Okay. And I just want to make clear, to clear the record, that I did not have a conversation with Mr. Korn. This was between Mr. Korn and Ms. Kiefer. So, I don't like the bouncing balls that we have here. Do we have any latitude, Mr. Drill, to give a longer extension
Yeah,
if
but
we
If-
deem it necessary?
So, my opinion is, number one, even though this is a little unusual that the applicant's not here or the attorney's not here, to be efficient, there's nothing wrong with it because there's nothing that they could say under oath that they haven't already said, and Cindy has now relayed the conversation, even though technically what Cindy has just said is hearsay, because she's repeating what Mr. Korn said. This is an administrative body, and technically, hearsay is not strictly prohibited. As long as you have someone sworn, and we just had Cindy sworn, and people can ask her questions about it. So the first part, to answer the first part of the question is, you can proceed to get these things adopted tonight without them here. That's number one. Number two, if the board believes that they might end up being back for another extension, and if the board believes that there'll be no negative impact of granting a further extension, in my opinion, just like the board's not bound, if an applicant asks for A, you don't have to give him A. You can give him less than A, but quite frankly, it's what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If they ask for A, and the board believes that they should give them more than A, the board can give them more than A. So if you guys don't wanna see them come back again, you could just say, you could tell me right now.
Right, I
to
understand that.
put the June 30th in there, not a
Okay,
problem.
well, you kind of went a little ahead of me.
Oh, okay.
Okay. First of all, we have a hearing, so we have to have members of the public ask the sworn, a person who's been sworn in to ask questions of that witness. So I'm now opening the public portion for questions of Ms. Kiefer. Okay? We're gonna close the public portion. I'd like to suggest to the board that we grant an extension until June 30th, 2023 for both buildings A and buildings A and B. So this will cover building B, most we hope, and it will certainly give another 3 months past what Ms. Kinback asked on behalf of the applicant for building A. So I'd like to go around and see how the board feels about this. Mr. Malik?
My question is, why limit it to that? Why, it's in their best interest to build it as soon as they can. I'm in the process of building something now, and 2 times is an understatement. It's crazy.
So what are you suggesting?
I mean, what, I don't know
Listen.
what the code is, but if they need a year or a year and a half.
Yeah, but, they asked for March 31. And they asked for, December 31. My advice is don't get crazy.
But 6 months is
Yeah,
what you're.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could be suggestion
To June.
for the June 30th, in my opinion, is a very good
I'm all for
suggestion.
Okay, Mr. Baumann?
What are we extending the date on? Just
For this
COs
COs,
for building.
final
Till
CO,
final
temporary CO,
Permanent.
Permanent
COs.
COs.
Permanent.
permanent. So this is permanent
they're gonna
final
occupy.
CO. So
Yeah.
during that period of time, the buildings will be occupied and operating, but they may be a few elements short of receiving a final or permanent
Correct.
CO.
That's correct.
I mean, is it, not being an expert in the code and what criteria must be met for the issuance of a final CO, as long as none of those elements lacking are life safety, and they are not permitted to run the building as a commercial enterprise,
Put it this way, if it's life safety,
they shouldn't have a
construction official's
TCO.
not gonna give them a temporary CO.
They shouldn't have a TCO, in which case then I concur and I would grant them the 6 months. I would take them
Well,
out.
to
the-
June 30th.
June
June
30th.
30th.
I would take them
Ms.
to June
Mandu?
30th.
I'm fine with June 30th.
Ms. Mastrangelo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDowell?
Yeah, no objection to June 30th. I would observe, I don't know if Mr. Drill did it in this particular case, but so often he tells applicants, are you sure that's enough time? Don't you want a little bit more? They should take you up on that every time. But
Right.
yes, no objection to June 30th.
Okay, Mr. Seville?
Same, I think, with COVID delays are still apparent, and they probably will be apparent for the next 6 months as well, so I think that's definitely reasonable.
Okay, Mr. Ladizinski?
No objection.
Okay, and I'm fine. So, seeing that, we do have a unanimous view that we will extend both buildings A and B for permanent CO to June 30th.
Now I know that, so then when you move to the resolutions, then we'll deal with it.
We'll deal with it. The only thing now I have to do is, we have to open up the meeting for public comment on the application and the condition. Okay, I now close the public portion, so I guess we are into deliberation and voting. And we probably have to amend, the resolution 005A.
Right, so my suggestion is, the way I set up resolution 18-005A was to have a second motion duly made and seconded tonight. So the motion should be to extend the dates to June 30th, 2023. Have a motion on that, then I'll fill in who voted for it. Then when you get down to approval of resolutions, then we'll adopt the two resolutions.
Okay, so would someone like to make a motion to that effect, please?
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Okay,
To extend
second?
to June 30th.
Second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Seville. Roll call.
Mr. Baumann?
Yes.
Okay. Deputy Mayor McNally?
Yes.
Ms. Mandu?
Yes.
Ms. Mastrangelo?
Yes.
Please go slow, please go slow.
Mr. Seville?
Yes.
Mr. Malik?
Yes.
Mr. Ladizinski?
Yes.
Chairwoman Padici?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we're at to approval of resolutions. First is Bernard's Plaza Associates LLC, Block 8501, lots 3943, 403 King George Road, PB 18-005A. And that is the one that we just
That's
modified.
correct.
So do you have any language
Yes, I
that
do.
you can read into the record, because that does need some modification?
Yes, I do. Just give me 1 minute. So, on the resolution memorializing the modification to condition of prior approvals to allow the extension of the time period to obtain permanent COs for buildings A and B, and this is application PB 18-005A. First, I have to correct the typographical mistake on page 1. Second paragraph, I have to add the word "and" before a walking path, and that's gonna be both for this resolution as you'll see for the next resolution.
You're welcome. That was worth $5.75 an hour.
And then on page 4, at the end of paragraph 3, which starts on page 3, good cause exists for modification of condition number 17 of the resolution. The last sentence says, and then I'm gonna add 2 more sentences. The last sentence now says, for all of the foregoing reasons, the board finds that good cause exists to warrant the grant of the modification of the condition to reflect the time period extensions requested, period. Then I'm gonna add, that said, comma, the board believes that the applicant may actually need more time to attain a permanent CO for building B, and may also need more time to attain a permanent CO for building A, period. As such, comma, the board believes that the time within which to obtain the permanent COs should be extended to June 30th, comma, 2023. And then, in condition 1, we will, instead of December 31, 2022, to obtain the permanent CO for building B, and instead of March 31, 2023, to obtain the permanent CO for building A, it's gonna say June 30th, 2022 for both of them.
2023.
23.
Oh,
23.
Thank you. Now,
And will
one-
this be version 5 then?
this will be version 5 with today's date on it. But there's-
08/16, okay.
There's one other thing we have to do.
Yes,
Now, the people eligible to vote change.
yes.
Because the only people eligible to vote on this resolution are the people that voted yes on both
Both
times.
ends. Oh,
So, tell me, what I have is Mr. Lenziski
yep,
voted both, so he is eligible to vote tonight.
Deputy Mayor is,
McNally, Malik,
Malik,
Mandu,
Mandu.
Mastrangelo, Padici. That's it. Oh,
What
no,
about
Seville,
Seville?
Seville also,
Yes.
Seville also.
Actually, the 2 who aren't here,
Right,
everybody else is fine.
yes.
Okay, now that we've gotten through that, I need a motion to approve resolution dated 2022-08-16, version 5.
And,
May I
and
have a
for,
motion?
for clarification, we are motioning to extend the time period for both building A
Yes.
and B.
To June
Yes.
30th,
June
2023.
30th, 2023. May I have a motion to that effect?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Seville. Second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Manduke. Roll call, please.
Goodness. Okay,
Everyone but the Mergian and Eoy.
Who are not here.
okay, now let me just,
And Mr. Baumann.
Yeah, no.
Oh, Mr.
Mr. Baumann was not here when we
Right,
voted
so
on the
he
21st.
can't.
Yep.
People I circled.
I abstain.
You can just read them right off here,
Okay,
those people circled.
okay. Mr. Ladazinski?
And then, do you, after you call them, just check it off so.
Okay. Alrighty. Deputy Mayor McNally?
Yes.
Mr. Malik?
Yes.
Ms. Manduke?
Yes.
Ms. Mastrangelo?
Yes.
Mr. Seville?
Yes.
And Chairwoman Padici?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Motion carries.
Motion carries.
One down.
Okay, now, the next is Bernard's Plaza Associates LLC, Block 8501, lots 39, 43, and 44, 403 King George Road, PB 20-003A. There are no changes to this. There is only one change on the second paragraph. We're entering "and a walking path."
And in place, before a walking path.
Yes.
Same
and.
change as the other.
Right. Do you want to make this
Nah.
No, okay, so this will be 2022-08-10-V4.
As revised.
As revised. May I have a motion to that effect, please?
So moved.
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Deputy
Roll-
Mayor,
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor McNally,
Yes.
Ms. Mandu,
Yes.
Ms. Mastrangelo.
Yes.
Mr. Seville,
Yes.
Mr. Malik,
Yes.
Mr. Ladazinski,
Yes.
Chairwoman Padici.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Gotta get Mr. Crane back in. Note for the record that Mr. Crane has re-entered the room. Okay, next is master plan discussion of the green buildings and environmental sustainability plan element and the circulation plan element, final drafts. Floor is yours, Mr. Banish.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Board members, I sent you yesterday revised drafts of the green plan element and the circulation plan element. The circulation plan element changes were really just editorial in nature. There's nothing substantive. There's one item in there that is being prepared by the board engineer right now, which is updating traffic counts for new development. That'll be incorporated into an additional draft that you'll see in September. But apart from that, there isn't really much to discuss, I think, in the circulation plan only because it was really just addressing, as I said, I believe what were only editorial comments. I have received a comment from Ms. Mastrangelo about a change to one of the additions. I guess I did add a schedule in there about bus service, and it makes reference to one of the bus stops being across from King's, which is no longer there.
Right.
And so we're just gonna
Yeah, I
call.
caught that also.
Yep, call it in front of the
Where is
shop,
that?
right?
Page 98 in the
Yep, page
circulation
98.
at the bottom, that it talks about the King's on 202 North, and there's no King's anymore.
Does the bus still stop there?
Yes.
Yes.
I suggested
Well,
shop right be put.
Well, they have a published,
Timetable?
yes, well, a schedule. They don't actually identify times.
Oh, okay.
There's a
Okay.
link for it, but it seems to
So
be dead.
let's leave it,
So
I'm not sure what it is, but they did, they enumerate all the stops in town.
So
Okay.
what do they call it if it's not King's? What do they call it?
Well,
on the
well,
schedule?
it just so happens King's was across the street from ShopRite, and so we're just gonna say at ShopRite.
at
Ah,
ShopRite.
Route
okay.
202 North at ShopRite.
Got it.
I suppose it could be a little further north than ShopRite, but I'm not sure.
Near ShopRite.
I'll go look at it.
Okay.
I may name the street, the cross street there.
I'm just
But
trying
in
to see
any case-
if there's anything online about how they identify it.
Okay.
We can move on in the interim.
Mhm.
Madam Chair, I had a question about table V3.
Okay.
What page?
I don't know. Details.
Oh,
I don't know, third to last page,
no,
table V3.
V3,
Yes, suggested roadway improvements.
yeah, go ahead.
And I apologize if I missed it, and it may not be necessary to include, but on the intersection of Allen Road and Somerville Road, the contemplated,
That's in it, that's in it.
it is, okay, then that's it.
I had the same question, I read it.
Okay.
You meant about the rotary?
Roundabout,
The roundabout.
The roundabout, yeah.
it's in the county improvements.
Okay, got it. Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, that's right, because that's a county
That's,
road.
okay. Yep.
Well, it doesn't really give it.
It's under the county.
Any other comments on circulation before we get to green plan, because that's gonna take a little more discussion?
I just had the one note I emailed you on
Oh.
the senior community by White Neck Road
It's a
and
memory
Town
care.
Airy. If we could just put that, it's by 287, it's right there by 287 for this traffic.
Where is that?
Wait, no.
That's on, I think, page 14.
It's White Neck Road.
White Neck Road.
Wait, no, wait.
It's actually a memory care facility.
page 14.
Oh, is it?
Is it?
Oh,
I
maybe.
didn't know that.
Maybe it's,
Thought I had your
No, I
email.
yeah,
thought this is
no,
just
I
the
got the
living.
wrong page.
Though originally, they came to the board and said it was only gonna be
David, how
memory
come
care.
some of these things have page numbers and some don't?
The first
I
one.
don't-
That will be taken care of in, by
Okay.
September, when we get into what we're gonna discuss
Yeah,
afterward.
that's in the no good reason category.
Right,
There's a section describing the intersection of that complex.
Okay,
I think we should just add to it. It's right there by 287, just from a traffic standpoint.
okay.
Okay.
And you had also highlighted the fact that you wanted, maybe just a little bit more emphasis on the fact that the inclusionary sites are both near two
Oh, no,
eighty-seven
it's
and
got memory
78.
care in it.
Yeah, I think he
it's
did say that,
Okay,
after I reread it. The only other one would be the other senior product, but I think it was Valley Road, is closer to 78.
yes.
oh, the other one near the, that's closer to 78 on the Valley
Yeah,
Road
King
one.
George,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
David, do you know where in there he's talking about?
It'll take me a minute to find it, but yes. I
It's
can,
taking him a minute to find it.
I wasn't able to print this out, so that's my problem.
I can tell you.
Where?
On the document, you mean?
Yeah,
I'm
where is
gonna look it up right now, because I couldn't print it out either, if I can find it.
I had it printed out for me, but I can't find it.
Some of them have, the first few don't have any page numbers on them, as you said.
yeah, I can't explain that.
Oh, it's on, it's two hard pages over about the numbers, and it's, future trip generation.
V2? Roman numeral V2?
I think it's-
V2, above
Okay.
that in the paragraph.
Aha,
I'm just gonna go by rough pages, not number pages.
Yeah.
Don't wanna
I
get in trouble there.
apologize for that.
So, what was your,
It should be by 287, because that,
okay.
Yeah.
so he,
So
it's
that's
right there,
done.
287 's
Yeah.
smack right there.
so he's saying,
Page 5.
Oh, there's no page on
Mr. Crane said at the corner of Mount Airy Road and White Neck Road, he's saying
it. It's also by 287,
So
by
you're
Route 287.
very close to 287.
located near
Locate,
We
okay,
could do a parenthesis.
right, comma, located near 287.
Right,
Route 287.
Just from a traffic standpoint.
Interstate 287,
I
Correct.
287, all right.
Interstate.
Interstate 287.
Yeah, there's a theme. Our major complexes are by the interstate exits.
Yes,
Okay.
okay. Are there any other questions on circulation before we go to green plan?
I had a question. Mr. Banish, with reference to the discussion about the Allen Road and Somerville Road county project, potentially building a roundabout, my reading of that is you're just reciting potential county projects in the township. You're not taking a position on that one way or another, correct?
No,
Okay,
no, simply reporting.
great. Thank you.
Do you want any qualification around that?
Nope.
No,
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And is it a county project?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Or is it
It's
a
a
grant
county.
from the
I
county?
thought it was money
if
from the county.
Township undertakes the project?
Is it a grant for us? or
It's
is
a
it-
county project. It's a county
What page
project.
are you on there?
Okay,
It's a county road, right?
then the county
Yeah, I
can,
just thought it was money from the county, and the township was gonna do it.
Okay, that one's page 91 and 92, correct?
yes, yes.
Okay.
Keeping out of trouble here. Keeping out of trouble getting the page numbers right. I get them wrong.
Okay, are there any other questions on circulation?
Just one other.
Yes.
On the exhibits, you mentioned at our last meeting, we're gonna put 78 going through, even though it's not in our township, to show the connection.
There were some other things,
Yeah.
we were gonna add as well. We're gonna put
Okay.
municipal boundaries,
Yep.
the names of the adjoining towns. We're gonna do the same thing with 202,
Okay.
Perfect.
so that all that orientation will be on each of the maps. We'll add that.
Very
Okay.
good.
In fact, that may have already been addressed, but I
Okay.
didn't check before I came to see.
Okay. All right, that's it. We're going to go, yes,
Element by element, or wait till the end?
wait till the end. Okay. The next is the green buildings and environmental sustainability, and there were, significant, changes in red. That I'm sure, I hope everybody was a PDF, so everybody should have seen the same thing. And, I guess you probably would like to go through that, Mr. Banish. I don't know if we want to go through every paragraph, but you might want to highlight some of the significant changes that were made, please.
And the objectives on page 3,
Mhm.
added some additional qualification. Under the land use management, objective number 2, which formerly read, the densities, intensities of permitted development on the limited remaining vacant land should respect the environmental capabilities and limitations of those lands and not exceed the capacity of the natural environment and the current infrastructure that supports the community. This is what's being added, that supports the community, including but not limited to municipal facilities, roads, water, and sewer.
Okay,
Just to, that was nothing that you all requested, it just kind of jumped out at me as a qualification that might make sense to add there. There was some, I think, additional information on page 6. There was some additional information that I think was warranted to describe the composition of the green team.
Did you just do that to show the level of the employees, that they were they were fairly high level and they were different?
Yeah, because
Department.
this seems to have evolved from,
all right.
at its initial,
All right, just leave it.
at its, yes?
Is this addition,
So where did the addition come from?
where did this
That
addition
supports the community,
emanate from?
including but not limited to municipal facilities, roads, water, and sewer.
He said he added.
The words
Nope.
infrastructure.
I understand,
But,
but it's all the stuff in red.
Yeah.
Can you explain why you put it in there?
I thought that infrastructure needed a little bit of explanation, to talk about what exactly it was that was being referred to
As infrastructure.
by the reference to infrastructure.
Yeah, I'm not understanding.
Do you think that should not be there?
No, I'm just curious, because I was looking on page 1, second paragraph, where the municipal land use law, 40:55D-28B16, right? It talks about what is a green buildings and environmental sustainability plan element. And what you quote it as saying is, that element, quote, shall provide for, encourage, and promote the efficient use of natural resources, consider the impact of buildings on the local, regional, and global environment, allow ecosystems to function naturally, conserve and reuse water, treat stormwater on site, and optimize climate conditions through site orientation and design. So I was reading this, thinking it was building, 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 and then I saw the objective broaden it from, now I know that the current infrastructure language was in there before,
Yes.
and I know you're just adding what's in red, but is what you're adding in red beyond what the MLUL contemplates for a green building and sustainability plan? That's my question. Do you understand what I'm asking him?
Yes. I'll try to answer that question. The objective itself talks about densities and intensities of permitted development. And the components of the infrastructure that directly relate to this plan element, I think, have to do with water and sewer, and the impacts of water and sewer, and those additional capacities, or whatever they may be,
So you're saying.
in relation to the environment.
So water and sewer capacity impact the density, or are you saying that the green building and environmental sustainability plan should also consider water and sewer? That's what I'm asking, is to.
No, I'm not suggesting that it also consider
Okay.
that.
You're
Yes.
saying the water and sewer capacity goes to density?
I think it does.
Okay,
yeah,
I agree with
yeah,
that.
I
There
agree
are,
with that.
yeah, I think
Okay.
it does. And there are other policies that talk about not extending that infrastructure.
Yep, okay.
Okay.
I just got,
Yep, I understand.
I get it, okay.
Go ahead, Mr.
Okay, so in answer to your question, Kathleen, the resolution authorizing the creation of the Green Team envisioned a broader membership. But it is what it is today, and yes, it does seem to me that it's all at the highest levels of administration in the community.
So that's why you gave their titles. And you did get my slight edit, which is, it's not really slight, actually. It's comprised of residents and employees of Berners Township.
Where's that?
Page 6,
Yeah,
under municipal planning design, 3rd paragraph, 2nd sentence.
yeah,
But that's not the case now.
it's not the case, I don't think.
No, that was the case, as
And
it's
it's not the
explained,
case
as Mr.
anymore.
Banish, yeah, it was the case, there was residents
There
in,
are no, I don't think the
Well,
residents are
committee
now.
woman,
that's what I'm trying to say.
She's a
And
committee woman,
in the
she's not,
she's not an employee,
but she's a government official,
she's a resident.
I-
When you
Now.
talk about residents in municipal land use law planning documents, it's
really
generally, it's a resident, not a municipal official, not a
Right.
resident that's elected, not a resident that's appointed, because that would be a municipal
But
official.
she's not an employee.
Okay. Which is the actual sentence you guys are talking about?
First sentence in the
First
3rd
sentence.
paragraph on page 6.
right
The
there.
Township Committee created the Berners Township Green Team Advisory Committee, comprised of residents
And it was in 2007.
or employees to advise, okay, that's what it was.
Right,
The Green Team membership has changed since its inception. Green Team membership includes employees from the Finance Department,
right.
Township Administrator, Township Engineer, DPW Advisor, DPW Administrator Coordinator, and Township Committee Woman Jennifer Assay.
I don't know what the issue is.
Yeah, I don't,
I just thought that it would be employee, I viewed, we're getting caught.
I think Kathleen's change makes sense. I can go back to the resolution and see the exact
Right.
language that was used there.
yeah, that's
I think it may have read "or," which I believe is why I used that, but I'll go back and confirm that.
Right.
But it
that's in the
definitely
past.
was initially comprised of municipal officials and residents.
He's right. Go back to the
Right, in
resolution to find out.
2007, yeah,
Yeah.
we'd have to question the accuracy,
Yeah.
but that's in the past. I guess I'm getting confused of where we're going.
It's an editorial change that I will address.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. While we're on that topic, do we typically include individuals' names? Or, I mean, do we do that throughout the document at all?
Yeah, actually,
I don't think
the
we
answer is
should,
no.
Okay.
We
Do we,
should
do we
not.
wanna strike those names then?
Yeah, just give their,
because this is
Keep-
good
keep
for
the
several
title.
years
Any of
going
this-
forward.
title, go by title.
Is any of these new amendments adding that much value? You know?
Well, it's making it accurate to show that he correctly states the Green Team membership has changed since its inception. Now, I don't know if it's changed informally or if there's a resolution changing it, but that's a separate issue.
The names will come out.
Yeah,
The purpose behind identifying their titles.
Yeah, no
Was-
one questions the
was-
title.
well, we're
was-
not
Yeah, no,
questioning the
I think the
titles.
titles are great. I think
Okay.
we all agree.
Okay, so we're all in agreement.
Yes.
Very well. All right. And then there was a comment on there was a comment regarding page 7 where you see the red text now, to put some time frame around the accomplishments. And so the dates are there. So
That
now
was
this list makes sense as
That's
something
fine.
that's happened in the 15 years since this Green Team was created.
Fine.
Let me just interrupt you. My note, we talked about potentially adding somewhere in here, I believe this would be the spot, the 2 solar complexes, Verizon, and I think it was Fellowship, Deacon was what Dave Schley had mentioned was the other one.
Yeah.
So if we can add those 2 to that,
For the EVs?
yeah,
No,
for the
the
solar
solar.
panels. No, for the solar panels.
Solar panels.
I mean, Verizon has a gigantic complex. I don't know how big,
Well, Verizon
Fellowship.
has it on their rooftop too. now,
and
the
in the,
parking.
and in the building.
The
Yeah.
fellowship came here for approval of those. solar-
Okay, so both,
Yep.
both complexes we could add.
I'll add them in,
Yeah, we talked about that.
and I'll get their sizes.
Right.
That-
And on top of page 8, the installation of 2 level 2 electric vehicle charging stations. At the end of the paragraph, there should be right parentheses, because you have a left parentheses, the third line down.
Yes. I should
Yeah,
close
so-
them.
Well, as long as we're on that, on page 7, you should spell out 2 fully electric Chevy Bolt, is it Bolt? Yeah, vehicles,
Instead of two TWO?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think we addressed that someplace else in this, don't we? We listed someplace else, these electric vehicle
Okay.
stations.
Yes, yes. Ms. Manduke has some
Can I hand this to Mr. Banish?
Yes.
technical
They're nits.
changes,
Thank you.
and she will hand them, has given them directly to Mr. Banish.
There was a request to sort of clarify what was meant by non-point source pollutants, which is addressed in the
Mhm.
paragraph, first paragraph under the water category in resource protection on page 8.
Mhm.
There was also a request to mention compost and discuss it a little bit, which is what I've done there.
Okay.
Was that from us or from the EC? I don't recall that. Doesn't matter, it's fine.
That was from you guys,
I don't recall
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it did come up.
You don't recall the whole discussion about whether or not people used it, because whether it had poison ivy in it or not?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Something stick in my
Uh-huh.
mind.
Right, and then,
Yeah.
and then it evolved to a discussion about chips, which were
Yeah.
available
Yeah,
in
that's right.
Pillsbury.
Yes, I
Oh, yeah.
remember.
Now I
that.
remember.
Okay.
Refresh anyone's recollection
Yeah.
now?
Remember the bottle of wine I drank afterwards?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Crane had asked for some discussion about the sewage authority's treatment plant, its capacity, some of the issues surrounding that, particularly because it's a major discharge into the Harrison's Brook, which then flows to the Dead River. So what
I
this
guess-
discussion is about.
This gets back to my question. Is that, I mean,
Well, I think to the extent that, and let's go back to that MLUL site, John, for
Yeah.
a second, if we could.
That was in the last one.
I'm not sure how
last
deep we have
master
to go
plan.
on this.
This comment
Well,
about the
I
sewer
have a
plant was in the
comment
last.
on that, Mr. Banish.
Yes.
No, the 2010.
We're talking about
The master plan is a planning document
Yes.
that by definition is at a certain higher level. And to get into too much detail, we are sort of limiting, we're saying what happens now, but this is a planning document going out 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So to that extent, we have to take, I think, a higher level view of what we're saying in the document. To Mr. Seville's point, you don't put in names because names can change. You put in titles because we have to be at a higher level. So that's where I'm sort of falling
I
off
think
the
from
track
from
on
the
some of
engineer, I
this
believe, the director of
detail
sewer.
Okay.
Tom
that
Timko.
isn't appropriate for a planning document.
Well,
That's gonna serve us for several years going out.
I think
Matt,
a couple things come to mind, Madam Chairwoman, in response to your comment. And I'd like to go back just to the MLUL citation
there, yeah.
for a minute and underline the words conserve and reuse water. And the discussion talks about the size of the plant, what the normal capacity and treatment volume is, and how that changes during rain events because of the condition of the system, and some other factors affecting the system. And those factors affecting the system, which are I&I, inflow, directly into manholes, for example, during rain events, and infiltration because of leaky pipes. Pipes leak when they're brand new, they leak, especially when they get older. And during heavy rain events, groundwater levels rise, the amount of water going to the treatment plant increases. This identifies the fact that it increases about twice its
Yeah.
normal volume.
So where is this factual information from?
The,
He cites it,
from the Sewage Authority's website.
he cites it on
Okay.
the bottom of the page.
Okay.
Did I?
Mhm.
Yeah, good for me.
Aha, footnote 1.
Yeah,
This-
you
Matt-
may have.
Matt-
I got one right tonight.
Yeah, Madam Chair, this isn't last master, not this, quite this detail, but it was a similar quote in the last master
Oh,
plan,
that's
the same
like-
section.
Okay,
Well,
In
here,
the green-
but there were two things I wanted, 2 points
It
I
was in the
wanted to make.
master plan. I don't know if we did agree, yeah, we must have done the green plan in 2010.
yeah, you had to do
Yeah,
a green,
yeah.
it's an element we have to
Yeah.
cover.
So it was in the green plan in 2010?
No, this was added, Mr. Crane made a comment at our last discussion. It said to take a look at the sewer plant, and I think he may have made mention of the chemicals that are being treated.
Yeah, but
But somewhere in the master plan, 2010 discussed the sewer plant capacity.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Did
that
it?
is customary and usual in a planning document.
Utility element?
And
Yeah, Rob.
while the green plan element is a fairly new element, not like the community facilities where you might expect to find the discussion, or the utility services is where you
Well,
really,
is it, should it be, should this be in the utility element as
Well-
opposed to this element?
well, I'm getting to that. And
Okay.
and perhaps it should be. But here, in relation to conserve and reuse water, by identifying this at this point in time, 10 years down the road would be a look back and an opportunity to review to see how well the I&I repair activities fared, whether the overall volume of water being discharged to the Harrison's Brook
That's changed.
well, had been improved so that there wasn't as much water being exported out of the
But,
local watershed unnecessarily as in relation to the sump pumps. And so in that respect, I think it lays down a marker to look back and just see how much progress has
but
been made
should
over
it be
the.
the marker in the utility plan element or the green element? I
Well-
kinda know it should be a marker,
Mhm.
but
As
should the
pertain,
more detail be in the utility element?
I think it's an overlap, and I think this is probably one of the biggest environmental concerns with the town that I've been talking about. When you're taking water out of the groundwater and discharging into the river in a flooding condition, that's certainly a green consideration.
Well,
in my
then do
mind.
we, instead of, can we make a compromise and say that we reference it in the green plan, but then go right and say, look at the utility plan?
Or vice versa?
Or vice versa, as opposed to
Double.
regurgitating it
David,
twice?
what does the utility, if you know, what does the utility plan now say about the sewage authorities?
Does anyone have a copy of
Does
the
anyone have
master?
a
I
copy?
didn't bring it with me.
There's one in the library. There's one in the library.
We may have a
Todd.
member of the
We may
public.
have a member of the public.
It basically talks about the overcapacity, the big flows into the plant is what the last one said.
The utility plan.
Yeah.
So maybe
I
could be,
just don't want a lot of duplication,
so-
unnecessary
Oh,
duplication.
you've seen it twice. But
Yeah, and
I think,
I think we can reference it once and then put it in detail the other time.
that's fine.
I have a substantive comment regardless of where this language belongs. Mr. Banish, have you had an opportunity to, I know you got this from the website, but have you had an opportunity to run this by Mr. Timko?
No, I did not run it past Mr. Timko yet.
Okay.
And,
Could I request that whatever the wherever it's gonna belong,
yep,
if you could run it by Mr. Timko, ask him to also apprise the chairman of the sewage authority, just to make sure that we're all on the same page and that they're comfortable with the discussion of
Language
this stuff.
or any discussion of it whatsoever.
Correct.
Yeah,
Understood.
there's some updated stuff that's not in there. We're both on the sewer authority.
Okay.
here we go.
And I actually was
Thank
in
you,
error,
Mr.
Mr.
Edelstein.
Banish, because it looks
Yeah,
like your
that's good.
footnote is after the policy changes for
Probably the
native
utility plan,
vegetation. I don't know if that covers the sewerage.
No,
You
it
got-
doesn't.
Yeah, so we
Thank
need a
you, Todd.
footnote on that.
If we're even gonna keep it here.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Mr.
I'm,
Grill
you keep
is-
on going, I'm gonna check, I got the
Okay.
utility plan. Thank you, Mr. Edelstein,
Mr.
for that.
Edelstein, thank you. Okay, moving right along here.
on page 10 at the top, air quality, the issue of idling came up with respect to air quality. And so I cited the township's ordinance and what it says about idling. And I looked for no idling zone designations at the schools, which were also specifically raised during the discussion.
Yeah, but it's not just Cedar Hill, it's
Oh,
way,
they have a big problem in Liberty Corner School.
I mean, but there's a sign at, I know William Mannon and some other schools, so I know you.
No idling sign?
Mhm.
So
I
why don't
couldn't
we
find it
just
at William
say,
Manning.
You
But,
went there?
No,
I recall one. so-
okay.
maybe we
And-
make it more generic?
Yes.
I'll make sure I get every school.
You could do a field trip.
Yep.
Do we have to include private schools like Albrook?
Excuse me?
Do we have to include private schools in the district, like Albrook? I know just because at summer camp, they have a no idling sign. So
Well,
I
we
don't know.
should.
So that would include
They're-
Pingree and
Yeah, it should.
St.
They're-
James.
They're in the municipalities, so
If
I
they
would
have
think-
no idling signs, permanent.
Going back just for a minute, so,
Sure.
okay, first of all, the MLUL, when it talks about the utility plan, it says in 28B5, a utility service plan element analyzing the need for and showing the future general location of water supply and distribution facilities, drainage and flood control facilities, sewerage and waste treatment,
Okay.
So I think that somewhere in this discussion, there should be a reference dropped that see the green, whatever.
Or do we do the other way? Or is it better to put see the green?
Yeah, see the green for a detailed discussion of,
Water, it is, water.
No.
Highlighted.
help me here.
It's on page.
Yeah, it's on page 9. A detailed discussion of
The
I
burner.
and I issues
Oh,
dealing with this, with the sewer system. And then it fits you into there. And then, Mr. Banish, my suggestion is find a place somewhere between, again, I'm in the 2010 plan, but somewhere between page 180 to 181 in the current plan. Thank you very much,
Then
Mr.
we-
Edelstein.
Then we're not duplicating
Right,
anything.
there is no
We're just
duplication.
doing cross-references.
That's right.
That's much more appropriate.
I know we don't want to put detail, just from a reader standpoint. I think we've got it. We should also see exhibit, such and such exhibit showing the other sewer areas in the plants. Somebody reading this might think this is the only sewer plant for the whole town.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, we have it on the exhibit. I think all I gotta do is see other sewer areas, reference such and such.
Perfect.
It's-
No, I think
It's on
that's
our,
appropriate.
it's on our exhibits.
And in fact, page 180 talks about the 5 different
Yeah.
districts.
Right, so that will
So
tie in very
Across from
nicely.
here and then back to there.
As a matter of flow in the document, which section of the master plan occurs first to the reader? Is it the utility services plan
Yes.
element?
Yes.
So quite frankly, I would discuss the capacity limitations, and I issues with the sewer treatment plant in the utility element.
I fully agree with that.
Then refer to it in the
In
green
the green
buildings.
plan.
I agree.
Because you're
That's-
referring back to something the
That is
reader's
very
already
good.
read.
Right.
And quite frankly, this is just my personal point of view on the green building element. The capacity, I issues, and storm surging are a bigger issue as the sewage treatment plant relates to the utility element
Yes.
than they are the sewage treatment plant relating to being an environmental
Right.
concern. I agree with John. It's a big issue in terms of what we're spilling out
It's a
into the brook.
utility issue.
But the bigger issue and impact on the community from a planning perspective is likely the plant's capacity and the I issues in the utility element.
So I agree with that. I think that
We'll just put a note in the green plan.
Put
Just put a note in the green plan
plan.
referring back to what you already
Yep.
read.
referring back to what we already discussed in utility.
And just for point of information, so it is in the utility section of the 2010 plan.
Yes,
I have it pulled up here.
yes.
that's what John.
And at the
and
end,
it was in our draft plan of the,
right, and
also.
I just want to say that at the end of this discussion, I'm going to be talking about what we're doing next, which I think is going to basically settle and put together these issues of where and referencing back and forth. So everybody kind of hold that thought until we finish, and then I'll tell you what we're going to be doing next.
David, forge ahead.
Understood. I was waiting for that
It's a
prompt.
tough crowd here, tough crowd.
That was what you- that's
Tough
what
crowd.
he was telling you.
Very
Yep.
good.
We're at
We
air
were on air
quality,
quality.
and now we're at forest.
Yep, now we're at Forest.
Here we go.
Can we see through first?
I love to,
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree, I agree.
Yeah, everyone agrees.
And in this case, it's mostly a discussion about the invasive exotic, challenge
right,
that we're facing in this area.
okay, and then you appended some things to the summary,
Yep, that's right. A couple things about the anti-idling policies.
right?
Um,
And then you, did some stuff about how the EC has been doing with the, green plan.
Yes, they came up with their own personal their own statement about
Yeah.
how
Their
they
mission
support.
statement.
That's
And they
right.
hold to their statement, Mr. Crane, I mean, they
I-
have a lot of initiatives that go on
See him,
regarding, from the EC.
I'm a 10-year senior member there, and representative here.
Okay,
And then we're into conservation.
Oh, I can go to that.
There weren't any changes.
yeah, and there was one qualification in here about the, there it is, on page 14. There was a
Yes.
question raised about what was the last date of certification.
It's 2019.
Yep, for 2019.
Mhm.
And
Do
then there's
these
just some,
happen every 3-4 years? Because it seems like 11, 14, 16, 19.
Seems
That's
like
what
this
it
is
looks
the year.
like.
So are we due for one pretty soon?
well, I'll check to see.
Sure
I
seems
mean, I
like
don't
it.
know if I put it in, but it's just more of a point of,
They reported that they submitted an application for a 2022 Sustainable Jersey Bronze Medal certification.
oh, they did?
What's the
Yeah.
next bullet?
That was the next bullet point.
Oh, sorry,
That's okay.
which means we should be hearing
Mhm.
about it
Before this thing is adopted.
before it's
Goes to
adopted.
print.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'll be the, more stuff to basically just make sure it's consistent.
yeah.
Where were we, just, and then finally, education and outreach. I think it was suggested that, and it becomes apparent, perusing the township's website, that there are other educational resources that are available from the town's local boards and committees
Okay,
that I think the general public would find very useful and informative, or vice versa, informative and useful.
okay. If there are no further questions or comments, I am now going to discuss and,
this editing, or are there substantive
Nits.
things I should address?
Just nits.
Okay.
right, suggest to the board what we're gonna do next. And I think this discussion about should it be here or should it be there is quite appropriate for what we're gonna do next. We're gonna have a consistency review of everything that we've looked at to date. So, Mr. Banish will make the corrections that have been submitted, PDF all the sections into probably separate sections, so the document is not humongous. Send it out by September 15th, such that by our meeting on September 20th, we will begin to look at it. And in terms of the rule of the road, I'd like to say if they're grammatical or nit-nat things, we do not discuss them at that point. You can send them directly
Yes,
Mr.
everyone's been very
Banish.
kind with me in that respect. Thank you.
You
Such a
can
crowd.
Sort of do, like, PDF the page, scan it in, and send it to him. I'd like to talk about what we talked about tonight, I think was very appropriate. Where do we put certain things? Are there duplications that we can cross-reference? Is the tone consistent across these sections? Is the language consistent? Are there any internal inconsistencies we have to iron out? Because we don't have that many sections to go. So this will be an appropriate time to, obviously, before we have the public hearing, we'll look at everything again. But I think we're at a good point that we can have this review. We will start it on September 20th. We have a meeting on October 4th. We have an application, but we can continue it on October 4th. This is not gonna be something that's gonna be a one-meeting thing. Look at the discussion we just had about just a couple of things. And we can continue it in October if we have to. But then we can put that to rest for the time and then go on to the few sections we have left at that point. How does everybody feel about that?
I think that's a great idea.
Why it's in our,
Madam
yeah, why it's in our head, I think is a good idea.
What?
Why it's in our head.
Good idea.
Yeah, well, it's in our head.
Sure.
And it will refresh us also about those things that we've done in the beginning, such that when we get closer to the end, it's not like 2 years away and we don't remember. So that will be coming out September 15th, and we can just start plowing it through, and I think it will be a very valuable discussion. So with that, thank you, Mr. Banish.
Thank you very much.
I will open the public for any comments on the two plan elements discussed tonight. Good evening, Mr. Edelstein. Yeah. Okay. And thank you, Mr. Edelstein, for getting us a quick copy of the plan. You knew
Yep.
exactly where to go to get it.
Yep.
Bravo.
Titlestein, 172 Riverside Drive. I know where it is, but I was just looking at it today myself. The introduction from the 2010, I'm hoping you're not gonna copy the introduction, because it says that there's a new and dynamic feel, and it's not new and dynamic because it said 2008 and we're now in 2022,
Right.
so it's no longer new. This is,
And those are some of the things we're gonna pick up in this consistency review, Mr. Edelstein.
I don't have your copy, so I'm not sure. Under the county, plan for projects, do you have the Valley Road Bridge? which-
The one between,
Long Hill
Long
Township and
Hill.
us?
Yes,
You do have it,
it
okay.
is addressed.
Okay, I didn't, I don't have,
Yeah, I don't have the update in Madisonville with that one being closed. But-
that just closed, a couple
Right.
weeks ago, so.
But I did have mention of it in there. It was anticipated.
Yeah,
But that was a recent development.
I believe you.
Yeah.
I'm just,
David, that's on page 91 and 92, what Mr. Edelson's
I
talking
believe so.
about?
Yeah,
Can you just look at that chart and see if the one he's talking about is on there?
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either.
Nope.
I don't know. I'm just going by the discussion you had, so.
It's number two.
No, it's number two.
It's number
it's
two on
number
page
two.
92.
It's number 2 on page 92.
Aha, so what's the difference between the ones that are in the chart and the ones, the charts,
The
starts on 91?
chart is maintenance.
The chart is the county roads, or roads under county jurisdiction. It's a list of the county roads under
Ah.
And
jurisdiction.
then the capital improvements are listed, so
Okay.
it's there, Mr. Edelstein.
Okay, you were talking before about, the idling, ordinance we have in town. And I don't believe, I'm not a betting person normally, but I bet I can put money on it that it's never been enforced. And being that, I'm working part-time at a gas station, people run their cars all the time, even though you tell them,
Are you allowed to
Terrible.
make a citizen's arrest?
no, who knows, I
It's
mean,
a crossing guard.
but maybe we could stress that it's something that needs a little more teeth instead of just saying we have this ordinance, if it's never enforced, then it's
Well,
a,
there was a little discussion in here about encouraging a public awareness campaign, a more effective public awareness campaign, and maybe even taking the additional step of encouraging signs, more signs, in areas where idling is known to occur.
well, maybe we could have that for the commercial, businesses, actually put them up, put it on the commercial business that install them. Not that I wanna be the guy go and knocking on people's windows because it aggravates them, but I do, at the pump I do it, and I usually tell them, I say, well, why? There's 5 reasons.
Isn't it a safety issue? If
Yeah.
you-
Well, that's the first words I tell, I said, it's to protect you and me.
Yeah.
Because you may have a bad spark wires, and you have fumes, and you may wanna see yourself on YouTube one day burning up. So I said, it's a 1 in a million thing, but why do you wanna be that 1 in a million? So, that's the
Well,
one
I
thing.
think it's the law that you're supposed to turn the ignition on, or turn the
A
motor
lot
on.
of people don't,
Yeah,
and diesel trucks don't do it either.
yeah.
That was a big problem, but
Mhm.
I can't, yeah. Can I just look, one more thing?
Oh, yeah, one more thing, Mr. Edelstein?
I just,
Okay.
getting back to the green team.
Mhm.
Now, they may have said, a mix of people, but I know, as a fact, there's never been a meeting of the green team, a public meeting. So it's more, as I said, internal, which is all the heads of the township.
Well, one of the things I think that's important to notice about the green team, particularly when you look at the township's website, is where they list their accomplishments. They have a fairly comprehensive list of the actions that have been taken by local government that are consistent with green planning principles and operational principles, and how they've reduced or saved the taxpayer money in town by the policies and the actions that they've taken since the inception of that plan.
Right, and they probably have people who write grants write that also. So it's, it's not knocking it down, but I remember the first thing they talked about when they started the green team was pesticides. Trying to cut down on the town using pesticides, encouraging the people not use so much pesticides. The town would go to natural methods of
And
controlling
progress has
pests.
been made with that.
Right, but other than that, there really hasn't been much mentioned from the green team. And I'm not throwing stones at them, I'm just trying to throw some history
okay.
that I've sitting at 1 or 2 meetings I might have thought about.
Mr. Edison, when I stand up, I don't read the whole document.
No.
But there's quite an impressive list of accomplishments in
No,
the
I've read
15
it.
years. Okay.
I've looked through this, when I know, I try to come in and try to skim through and see, but that's all I have, and thank you very much for your time.
Mr. Edelstein,
Thank
I'd
you.
like to publicly thank you on behalf of the board for being so diligent of sitting here for every meeting,
Yep.
Yep.
reviewing it beforehand, and giving very good comments. I mean, this, to me, is an ultimate citizen work. So thank you very much, Mr. Edelstein.
Just another person.
Don't
The team,
don't-
it's a team effort, okay? It's not one person.
Don't let it go.
Thank
too
you very
far.
much.
Comments from members?
I just one comment. There's a section in the green section that we talk about, plan that we talk about, and the one section says, consider reducing the coverage amounts. Just inform the other board members, there's, the concern that I have with that is that the Board of Adjustment is constantly getting flooded, no pun intended, on the applications. And keep in mind that, just a little history, the town didn't have zoning until the 1930s, and the impervious coverage didn't affect didn't go into effect till the 1980s. And what we have in our township is a lot of undersized lots. So in a typical community, and Mr. Banish could probably confirm this, we have lots that are 6,000 or 7,000 square feet versus 20,000 square feet, like in the half-acre zone. It's actually more in the half-acre zone. So in a typical plan, you would have maybe 40% impervious coverage on a small lot like that, not 20. And that's a concern I have. If we did make this more stringent, I think you're gonna,
Can you, where does it say that in the Green Building Environmental Sustainability Plan?
Well,
Page
the
11.
one,
Page 11?
I think it's in page 11 somewhere there. It says consider reducing the coverage.
It says on the top of page 11, consider and evaluate strategies to manage future development impacts on water resources, including reducing residential densities and impervious coverage limits. That's what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
That's gonna be, I mean, we're gonna force a lot more people into the Board of Adjustment. Like I said before, I think the problem is that the undersized lots are not, the impervious should be higher on those. If this was a new town and we had 10,000 or 6,000 square foot lots, you'd have a 40% impervious.
Are the undersized lots vacant, or do they have structures?
Structures.
So are you suggesting a different language in that section?
I'm saying if we make it more stringent, let's say you have 20% coverage you're
Yeah,
allowed.
but the board is not making, and unless they want to.
They're saying-
making a
Making
recommendation
recommendation.
about reducing it. They're
Just
saying
consider.
consider and evaluate strategies, including those things. That's
which
up-
is appropriate for a planning document.
Yeah, that would be up to the township committee if they wanted to.
Right.
I'm just giving you a little history for the
Okay,
board
thank
members
you.
here, what the problem is in our
Are you,
township.
are you suggesting that that goal of reducing impervious coverage limits be applied to areas of the township where the zoning would make it practical? In other words, are you looking to sort of exempt places where, I'm interpreting what you're saying is, we should not across the board reduce impervious coverage allowances. We should look for places where we can appropriately do that and meet the planning objectives of the township without creating an undue hardship.
yes.
Right.
Is that,
But that's also what you have the variance procedure for, relieve hardship.
There will be more variances.
Yes, but I'd like to have my wife back at some point, who sits on the zoning board of adjustment. Ultimately,
And I watch her, she's very good.
So
yeah, and ultimately sits here till
Certainly-
1 o'clock listening to those
we can
applications.
certainly consider that in a consistent.
That's my editorial comment.
Okay. Comments from staff? No?
Cindy, you have any?
Comments from staff?
You wanna make a comment?
No, I was going to wonder if, Madam Chair was going to talk about the September 6th meeting.
About what?
September 6th meeting?
Yes. Since we have no business on September 6th, I hereby cancel the meeting. Next meeting is September 20th, where we'll start the consistency review. At this point, we are going into executive session.
So you wanna make a motion?
A motion to go into executive session for discussion of pending litigation and an employment matter. May I have a motion to go into executive session?
so moved.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
by Ms. Manduke. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are now in executive session. Everybody have a nice Labor Day, Mr. Banish, and we will see you on September 20th.
thank you all very much.
Thank you.